Hello and welcome to How's Your Heart podcast. It is Lindo for short. Welcome to yet another episode. These are not coming as regular as I would like to bring them out, but here we are. In my previous video, I talked about the difficulties that expats face in this journey, having moved from their home countries to another country, to a foreign land. And I am a South African living in London. I have now been living here for almost 4 years, and I have a few things to share with you. In my previous video, I mentioned things like being away from family, how that affects you. That is a very important thing to consider. I talked about whether you move into the similar job that you were doing in your home country. Think about whether you still want to continue doing that job, losing friendships, and how difficult it is to maintain some friendships that you may have with people in your home country, especially those best friends that you have been best friends forever, maybe from childhood, primary school, any point in your life. It's not really easy to lose out on those friendships, and that's something that you really have to think about. So today I've brought you 5 things to consider before thinking about relocation, and then I'll talk about, is it worth it? Because I have found that it is worth it in my life, and that is why I'm still here almost 4 years later. So let's get into it. I have that 5 things that I think that you should really consider in relocating to a foreign country. One of them is about the immigration rules. So if you are someone like me that did not have a very strong passport, you cannot just go and work anywhere in the world. You have to consider these things. And from someone who didn't know anything about immigration, because I was in South Africa, I didn't really need to know anything about immigration. Even when I came here, when I came to London, I really didn't know anything about immigration. All that I knew is that I was getting a visa, it was linked to my job, and that was it. I'm only beginning to understand now things about immigration. So why is this important? I am on a skilled worker visa. And over the last year or 2 years, the UK has changed its immigration rules, specifically when it comes to skilled worker visa. One of the things that they change is how much you need to be earning to qualify for this visa. So I think when I came here, it was about £35,000, but I know it has since changed. I'm not sure exactly what the number, maybe I'll put it here down below. But you have to consider the requirements of the visa that you're applying for. And one of the requirements in the skilled worker visa that I'm on is that you need to be earning a certain amount to be able to qualify for the visa. The second part that we are currently very uncertain about is the rule was, when I came into this country, was that if you are on a skilled worker visa, you would qualify to apply for citizenship after 5 years. But now they are contesting that to extend it to 10 years. So why is this important for someone who is relocating, not particularly to the UK, but to any other country? It is to understand what are the rules that you need to adhere to if you plan to live there long term. What are the things that you can do on your visa? For example, I cannot run a business being on a skilled worker visa. There's certain jobs that you cannot take on as secondary to your main job. So those are very important, and I cannot stress this enough. It's really important to understand the visa that you will be getting, what it allows you to do and not to do. And if you are planning to stay in that country long term, you have to consider how do those rules impact you, and potentially money that you have to spend in applying for this visa maybe having to reapply every 3 or every 5 years or whatever the case may be. So that's point number one. Point number two is the cost of living. This is important because moving to a major city versus moving to a not so major city is important. In the not so major cities, your salary will be relative to the city that you're moving to, and the standard of living as well will be relative. For example, in London, London is very competitive and the salaries also are competitive, but the cost of living is really expensive. So you want to consider whether you want to move into the city, having to spend a lot of money, almost a third sometimes of your salary on rent, or you want to maybe work in another city that is not as competitive, lesser salary, but you can still manage your life. So that is very important. The third thing is, how will your career aspirations be impacted by this move? The one thing that I've talked to a lot of people about is back home, there is a clear career progression if you stay within the same sector and in the same industry. There are clear career projections. However, moving to a different country, you might have to take a junior role, or even though it pays more, it might be a junior role, or you might be moving at the same level, even though you are getting paid more. Or you might want to consider what are the promotion rules in the company that you're moving to. I have experience, and with talking with friends as well, that the UK does not have a clear culture of promotion. So that is important because you want to know how your career will be growing, or if there will be years of stagnancy, and how you can accommodate for that. When I look at my peers back home, there are maybe one step and some 2 steps above me. But being here, I have changed jobs, and even people that have not changed jobs, they have experienced some career stagnation. The fourth thing is to consider is, what are the demographics of the population that you will be relocating to? What I mean by this is, if you will be minority, how adaptive are you to spaces where you are a minority? This is important for me as a Black person. This is important for me as a Black person from South Africa. In South Africa, I did experience some racism in Cape Town. So when I moved here, and it's funny because I feel more at home here than I did in Cape Town. That is a story for another day. But I think it's very important to consider. I have been lucky. I had a conversation with someone recently, and I said that I do not realize how good I have it in London, because some people, for example, that move to other areas that are not as diverse as London, they might find it challenging. It's not that you cannot make it, they might find it challenging. But I have found that because London is a melting pot of many different people from different places, it is easy to belong. It is easier to be a foreigner in London, I think. I have not had an experience anywhere else, but I think for me, I've never experienced any form of racism. I am the only Black person in my office. I've never felt any form of racism, and I would bet my life on this, that if I was still working in Cape Town, I would feel it, that I'm the only Black person and a woman at that. So if you are someone that cares about that social life and that social aspect, it is very important to consider the demographics of the area that you will be moving into. So let's get into the exciting bits. Is it worth it? 1000% it is worth it. I cannot even begin to tell you how much of a blessing moving here has been in my life. And I thank God. So one of the reasons why I took this opportunity to move here is because I am first generation everything. First generation to get a degree, first generation to move abroad, first generation everything. So for me, it was really important to open up the world to my siblings, to my family, and one day to my own family. That is the reason why I do this. I do this for my siblings so that they can say they have the opportunity to move to London if they wanted to. That is my big why. The second part is the social life. Guys, I had never been so exposed to so many different people from different places, from different countries, different races. If someone sat me down and said you would have a Chinese friend living with a Ghanaian lady, I would be like, what? Like, in what world? It has really exposed me to so many different people and so many different misconceptions and preconceived ideas have really been exposed, and I'm learning things about other people. I'm learning about different races. I'm learning about different ethnicities. And as a South African, especially for those people that listened or watched that video I did with a friend of mine about, she's a Nigerian that grew up in South Africa. If you have listened to that, you understand the context in which I'm speaking. I grew up predominantly with people from my tribe. Even in uni, it was people from my tribe, and maybe here and there friends from different races, but 80% of my social life, of my social circle, was composed of people that looked like me, that talked like me. And I think it's easy for us to just maybe talk about how many white people have black friends, but are we actually reversing that and asking us as black people, how much are we integrating with other black people that do not talk like us, that do not eat the food that we eat? I'll leave that at that. The third part is traveling, guys. Being in Europe, you can go to so many different countries for very cheap prices as well. We'll talk about the visa situation another time, but there is that opportunity to travel. I got my first passport, you guys, at 27. My first passport. That was my first international flight coming here. So for someone like me, it becomes a new world. It's a new world that I'm being exposed to. And I remember this one time, my girlfriend at the time, they were talking about where they wanted to visit and all of that. And I was sitting there like, uh, I was sitting there like, uh-huh. What? And they asked me, oh, where would you go? The only places I thought people really travel to is New York. I So I said the first thing, like I was under pressure, I said the first thing that came to mind. I didn't know what traveling was. The only thing I knew was holidays. I go to Eastern Cape to visit my grandmother. So what do you mean? What did I do over the holidays? But relocating just exposes you to that. And I feel like it's a continuous solo trip, and you get to explore so many other things. And you might be coming from a place of privilege where you have explored different countries. But I think even relocating is part of finding out how other people live in other parts of the world. So it can still be very beneficial for you. Second last point is self-development. I think for me, this came at the right time. I was 27. I had just qualified. Now it was more about what do I do with my life. I had worked for my qualification for 8 years, if I count the time that I took off. And now I had this thing that I had been working on for most of my 20s. And I then sat there like, okay, what now? What should I be doing with my life? And I wasn't chasing anything. So it came at the right time. And I think I have mentioned the social circle, how it expands your life, expands your horizons. I think also internally you just start taking more responsibility for your life, start taking more responsibility for the choices that you make because you're out of school, you are probably not a new professional anymore, and now you are making decisions that will likely impact the rest of your life. So you are developing that muscle of making those decisions and not being afraid to step out of your comfort zone. And I think if even moving to a different city is something that really builds you up, resistance, adapting to change, and really building a life in a new place is not easy. It takes a lot of time. So I really think that you need to have patience with that. You really need to be patient with yourself. So the last one is your career. For me, relocating was worth it for my career because I don't think I would have explored the industry that I'm in right now. I don't think I would have learned as much as I am doing right now. But I think London has a big financial sector, and I'm in the financial sector. So I have found that it's really easy to tap into different industries, different markets, different things that you can do. Because even though we're in London, we're still servicing the rest of the world. I've worked on projects literally all over the world. And I think the position that I'm in allows me to be able to do that rather than maybe being in South Africa where there would be maybe smaller projects, a fewer number of projects that I would be involved in. But still, I think in terms of career projection, I know I mentioned at the beginning that you need to consider whether you have a career stagnancy for some years or you'll be taking a junior role. And that is something that happened to me. But at the same time, I really enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy my team. And I think having relocated, going back to your home country, that's something that you can put in on your CV. So I think it is attractive to hiring managers and for the team that you might be working with if you do go back home, because you'll be bringing a different way of working, you'll be bringing a different set of skills that you have acquired from having relocated to another city or relocated to another country as a whole. And you might bring a different skill set that having stayed in your home country you would not have been exposed to. So that is it for me. I'm so glad that you listened to this podcast. And if you are thinking about relocating and you have more questions about maybe specifically about London, UK, I don't know if I'll be able to answer, but I'm happy to answer those. If you leave a comment down below or send me an email or find me on TikTok, How's Your Heart Podcast on TikTok, and you can ask whatever questions that you have. I'm really grateful that you have listened to this, and I really wish you well in your journey. And if this is something that encourages you, if it's something that really spoke to you, or you feel like it will be beneficial for a friend, please share, like, and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye.